Okay, I finally figured out how to drag these screens around. I'm Nate. I've made one YouTube video before. This is my second. I don't usually make YouTube videos, but today we're going to talk about a different fun thing in Python and AI JSON stuff. It's from this person who, let's pull up the tweet. Um, okay, so this person, don't know how to say their name exactly, but they built this really cool thing where you just text in and then graph out, like where the graph is like phrases that are connected by edges, and the edges are like relationships or like actions. And so, like for example, this old King Cole called for pipe was a merry old soul called for Fiddler's Three. So it's like very interesting. And so I saw this and I was like, dang, that's pretty cool. So I wanted to figure out basically immediately as soon as they posted on GitHub like how it's happening. And it turns out it's not so crazy. Let's actually look at the original code first. But all it's doing is just begging OpenAI for JSON that matches some whatever this is. I don't really know what this is. What is it? Add data. Like you can go in here and you can look at the templates and you can see that there's like this index HTML with some JavaScript thing. I don't know hardly anything about this, but what I do know is that it seems like he just fully described what he wanted to see from the LLM in this description, like right here. Basically, it's just, you know, it's some data, that there's edges, and then there's nodes, and then there's a graph composed of edges that are connecting nodes. And so, like, if you know, there's this library called Marvin where you can basically use pydantic models or any generic Python type to basically prompt an LLM and return JSON that can be casted into that type. So here, it's no different. We get a little fancy with like a generic, just so because that format that he's asking for seems like it's always there's like a top level data key for both node and edge. So in both cases, we just have something that has a data key and it has some value under that data key. And in each case, there's a couple distinct labels or fields. But basically, we can look at it. This is like one topic that I wanted to cover. Is basically this thing called logfire by Pydantic, which is the maker of Pydantic, Samuel Colvin, and team. And basically, they built this observability platform in which you can like see the data that goes through your workflows that you instrument, kind of like Datadog or something like that. But what's really cool in this case is I can see exactly what the LLM gave me back and what Marvin is casting from JSON into my types. So how did I do this? I'll go into the code. Basically, this is just a very simple Fast API app. It was originally Flask in the example, and I switched to Fast API so I could get this instrumentation. And so this is like a simple Fast API app. I just import Fast API, make an app, and then I import logfire as well. And I call this built-in method that they had when they released logfire, which just goes ahead and like I'm assuming it just monkey patches like certain things within the app or on the app object so that when those methods get called, they pop up in this nice UI. But basically, we see, hey, we posted to this endpoint, and I've actually also turned on this Pydantic plugin, which basically just says, hey, like we're validating a type that you've written. Like function and function tool are from Marvin library, which let's see what was going on there. So we lie to the LLM and we say, hey, LLM, there's this tool called format response. Please give me JSON. And this tool will do it for you. But all we're doing is getting it to basically populate values for a given like OpenAPI schema. And that's how we do like JSON to types. Anyways, let's go back to this. So what we have going on here is I've defined a node, or I've defined what an item is. It's just a thing that has data of any type. I've got a node, which is the type. of thing that has an ID and a label. An edge is another type of thing, source, target, label. And note that like these field descriptions and the doc strings are actually included in the prompts that we send to the LLM, so they like can be used to direct the outputs. And then the graph is just a list of nodes and a list of edges. All this information is contained inside of here. So if I were to go like, oh man, I don't even have IPython installed. So if I go like import or from main import graph, which should work, and I say like graph scheme or what is it now? Model JSON schema. You'll see that all this information about what this graph is defined as is encoded in the schema, and so we show select portions of this to the, or maybe the whole thing, to the LLM and say like, hey, please give us JSON that will validate against this thing. Anyways, so if we go out of here, and there's one other interesting thing that I'll show besides the front end stuff that I don't really understand, which I wouldn't be able to do justice in this video. But basically, there's the thing that actually asks for the JSON from OpenAI. In this case, I'm using GPT-4 Turbo just because it's fast, and when we ask it to produce this graph, it's kind of a lot of things. So, oh yeah, also we're instrumenting the OpenAI client using logfire as well. So I pass in the client here, and then I say I just ripped the system prompt from the original author because it works pretty well. And then, yeah, we get the JSON back. We render it through the template, and then I'll show what that looks like. But basically, I switched it over to Unicorn now. So if I say Unicorn main app, we should be able to open this, and now we just have blank text on the left and nothing on the right. So if I just do something simple like it is what it is, and then when I hit the period, it should start this trace, so I can go into here if I want to see what's going on. Seems like stuff is happening. Looks like everything already happened. So if we go back to wherever this was, yeah, it is what it is. It, subject of what, is related to is, where what the subject, what is the subject of it, what is related to is. So this is slightly more complicated than the one I got before, which was just like a loop that was like it is. But no, this is very cool. Like let's do a more interesting one. Like the Nat King Cole was a very good example that he used. What's another good example though? Ernest Hemingway quotes. Let's just find something that has like spatial richness. Now, oh, this is interesting. Now is no time to think of what you do not have. Think of what. Okay, yes, I like this. Where do we go? Here. Let's try this. Actually, I want to paste this without messing with that. Let's try this. Let's see if, yeah, it's going. Let's see how this turns out. I think it's done. Oh yeah, the other thing I forgot to mention is that I just retried here because I set up retries based on validation errors. So if the LM fails to like give the right JSON, I show it the validation errors from pydantic and send it back through. And that's something I covered in a previous video. But okay, here we go. Now is no time to think of what you do not have. Think of what you can do with what there is. Time leads to action. Action focus on lack. Action focus counteraction action. Focus utilizes resources. I don't know. That one wasn't so good. Maybe I just don't get it. But it doesn't seem like a great representation of it. But what's really cool is that like this thing's reactive. You can drag stuff around. Like this is gorgeous. And it's like a total of 86 lines, like not counting the libraries underneath. But I just thought it's very cool. You can run it yourself if you have OpenAI access and just wanted to like step through it.